Hi, welcome to our exhibit. We'll be discussing Native American removal in the early 1800s. As you can see at the front of the arch before you enter the exhibit, there are two crying Native American Cherokee members, and they are crying into a fountain which delivers water under the glass which runs around through the entire exhibit.
The first hallway of our exhibit will focus on pre-removal with Wall A and Wall D, and we will talk about treaties involving Indians before the Indian Removal Act, like the Treaty of Hopewell and the Treaty of Fort Jackson, and also conflicts during this time, like during the War of 1812. And during this time period, the policies will be focused more on assimilation. At the end of the first hallway on Wall A, we will have an exact copy of the Indian Removal Act, which was signed by Andrew Jackson on May 28th of 1830.
At the first corner of our exhibit, at the cross between Wall A and Wall B, is a statue of Andrew Jackson, the 7th President of the United States, who is the perpetrator of Indian removal. As you turn right through the exhibit, you will see on your left, on Wall B, a display and description of the court cases surrounding Indian removal. These will include Cherokee versus Georgia and Worcester versus Georgia. These are Supreme Court cases that surrounded Indian removal, and Indians protested for their rights. However, despite any outcome, Andrew Jackson continued on with Indian removal and forced them out of their lands to Oklahoma. The next description will be on your right on Wall E. It will feature the wars and treaties surrounding Indian removal. These include the Black Hawk War and the Seminoles in Florida, in which there were conflicts between the Americans and the Indians. We will also be featuring the treaties surrounding Indian removal, which are Treaty of New Echota and Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek.
In the next corner between Wall B and Wall C, there will be two statues, one of John Ridge and one of John Ross, who were both Cherokee leaders during this time, and they had differing opinions on how to respond to the Indian Removal Act. John Ridge supported relocation and just avoiding conflict, but John Ross supported fighting back and he opposed relocation. The first thing you will see when you turn into the last hallway is on the left on Wall C, and it'll talk about the Trail of Tears, which is the relocation of the 5 civilized tribes to Oklahoma. Yeah, and the 5 civilized tribes are the Cherokees, the Creeks, the Choctaws, the Chickasaws, and the Seminoles. And there was a total of 100,000 relocated. On the right of the Trail of Tears, we will talk about the reservations and how the reservations were divided up in the West and the daily lives of the Indians who lived there on Wall F.
As you exit the hallway and enter in the middle of the exhibit, you will see an interactive area with many activities for all ages. To your left, as you walk in the middle area, visitors are allowed to sit down and enjoy food samples made by our very own chef named Nate Phillips, who is a descendant of the Cherokee tribe. He is sharing his own recipes with us and that have been passed down generations. He will use the main staple foods of the Indians, known as corn, beans, and squash, and make meals such as the Three Sisters soup. Next to your right is a mini theater which allows visitors to enjoy their food and wait for their children to be done playing in the teepee as they watch an informative documentary on the stories of the 5 civilized tribes on their journey to Oklahoma. The back right corner will be a large teepee for kids to play in with toys that Native American kids might have played with in the early 1800s. And it allows them to go off, meet new friends, while their parents are enjoying the history of the food and the documentary. Wall H and Wall I and Wall J will all feature scenery of the beautiful landscape and trees that Native Americans saw as on their journey to Oklahoma. We will have our photographer named Charlotte Richards run the photo booth where visitors can pose with the Native American clothing we have on a clothing rack next to it. These photos will be free, which encourages lots of participation and memorable photos for people to show their friends. They will exit through the door on Wall J and go out through the same arch that they came in. Throughout the hallway, as you may have seen as we went through the exhibit, the river under the glass floor starts off as blue, clear water, and after the Indian Removal Act station, you will see that the water becomes more red as red lights are established under the glass. Once we arrive to the Trail of Tears station, the water is completely red, which symbolizes the suffering of the Indians throughout this time.
Throughout the hallway, we will play sad music to symbolize the suffering that the Native Americans have gone through in their journey. But in the final room, the music will turn into more uplifting Native American music as we're celebrating their culture.
Thank you for watching.